Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. It's 2025. And for this year, people are already talking about, hey, there are so many things we need to do to improve boxing. And people have all these ideas. And you know what I say? Hey, you can't improve boxing. Boxing ain't changing for anybody out here. All the things people complain about right now, from PEDs, multiple titles, sanctioning body fees, corruption, etc. The secret society is in full effect. Now make sure you like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter or not, man. I done lost half my followers on Twitter, man. I don't know. I really don't give a shit. But make sure you leave a donation for that fried rice, chicken wings, and that wonton soup. Look, the only thing, when I start really thinking about this, right? Because I don't think you can improve boxing. I don't. I think the best thing that's happened to boxing in a while is something that comes around, man. You know, it's like a cycle. And somebody comes into boxing with a whole bunch of money. And when they do that, the money floods into boxing. You get the fights you want, and everybody's happy until the money runs out, and then some other pop-up tent shows up, and then you have a little bit more money in boxing, and fights happen, and that's it. But there's one person who's arrived on the scene, and what he's been doing is amazing, and I think it's going to continue to be amazing. I'm talking about Turki Alalshikh, because he's got the dollar bill, y'all, and as long as he's around, I think boxing is going to be okay. Look at the stretch we've had since he's really come from behind the curtain, because Saudi's been involved in boxing for quite some time. And yes, Daniel Kinahan was behind it all, okay? I'm not making that up. Y'all go out there and look at all them tournaments and stuff were taking place in Saudi Arabia, okay? Look who's behind that, all right? Pro Bellum, look who's behind that. I'm not making this up. You think, yo, Hood Champion, here you go. No, go look it up yourself. But that being said, as long as Turki Alalshikh's around, boxing's going to be fine, okay? You look at what he has now. The man has the Ring magazine now. He's putting on a big event, Ring honorees or some crap that's about to take place. You look at all the promoters who are working with them. Look at the sanctioning bodies, the commissions. The man got recognized out there in Las Vegas. So we got to be real with what we're talking about. Improving boxing, let me tell you something. As long as there's somebody out there who can, hemorrhage money indefinitely, boxing will be fine. And you found that in Saudi Arabia because they print their own damn money. But this thing about every organization and governing body fighting under one set of rules, so everybody gets the same treatment all around the world. Let's just try to understand that. Every organization, IBF, WBO, WBA, and WBC, fights under one set of rules. So everybody gets the same treatment around the world. Basically, standardizing the way sanctioning bodies do business. You have Walmart, you have Google, you have Amazon. They do a lot of things very similar. Some of their practices may be exact. But you're not going to come out here now and align all of them underneath one standard set of principles. You're not going to do that. And when you look at these organizations, I really doubt they're going to allow that to happen. Okay? You can look within the organizations, and I have a high opinion on who's really corrupt and who's really, they all seem to be corrupt to me, but who may actually kind of care about trying to do the right thing for fighters. But bottom line is, as long as the money's flowing, it's what the person with the money wants. And that's what happens. So if the person with the money wants there to be a standard set of principles, it will happen. Because you look at, put it to you this way, as long as people are getting paid, they'll be cool with some things. You look at these promoters. This is a question that came up. Someone asked, hey, Hood, why do you think these promoters are working with a guy like Turki Alalshikh? They don't, more times than not, and Turki Alalshikh's involved, they're not risking their own money. He funds everything. Everything. So the promoters make money and the fighters make money. What makes you think a promoter wants to mess that up? Because they're going to improve boxing. They'll get steamrolled. If you're not how was that? If you're not with us, you're against us. And I really feel that's how it goes. And Turki Alalshikh, you see him in front of the camera, he's strictly business, but the guy, he'll tell you, if you're not with us, then you'll get left. Like he's letting people know why you want, like in a roundabout way, he's saying, why you want to play with me? You know, you can't stall me out. You can't sideline me. I'm the guy with the money. You want to play this paper chase? You want to count each other's pockets? Okay, we can do that. And I'm sure I'll be the last man standing. And he's right. Anyway, man, some people think Turki Alalshikh is bad for boxing. I don't know. I do think if Turki Alalshikh didn't come from behind the curtains, I don't think we would have gotten any of the fights that we had. I don't think a lot of these fighters have received anywhere near the kind of money they've been making. So how can a person come out here and just because you don't like Turki Alalshikh because he's from Saudi Arabia and say get rid of him, he's garbage? Like, okay, so how does that improve boxing? You get rid of Turki Alalshikh, how does that improve boxing? Because 95% of people would agree that before Turki Alalshikh really bubbled up and came from behind that curtain and started with this Riyadh season stuff, 95% of people would agree that boxing was struggling. You couldn't get a lot of big fights. And fighters, the kind of money they were getting paid, it wasn't all that. And promoters, and it's because of the promoters. The promoters just didn't have the money to pay these fighters what the fighters wanted. Promoters had to pay them something to where the promoters knew they could, at minimum, break even, but they want to turn a profit. Eddie Hearn talked about certain fighters he had, they couldn't put butts in the seats, ending the contract. Frank Warren talked about it. You see what's happening over there with PBC. Most of their guys ain't fighting. Cats ain't fought in a year. Boxers have come out and have done interviews and talked about how they haven't had fights, and as a result, family life is struggle, and losing their wife and having to go work and not knowing where the next check is going to come from. It's pretty obvious that there's something going on over there with PBC. But again, that's the direction that the others, the other promoting outfits, they were heading the same direction. Listen to what they were saying. Oh, that fight would never happen because the kind of money these guys want. Promoters, let me tell you, they're not in the business to lose money. But now you got a guy, Turki Alalshikh, doesn't care if he makes or loses money. I think he wants to, but if he loses, whatever, they go print some more. He don't care. And the promoter's like, wipe that sweat off their brow. Thank God. This man saved us. That's why they sit back and they'll hold his hand, they'll walk with him, they'll let him say whatever he has to say. You notice they become very reticent when he's around. He's Sir, he's His Excellency. So I don't know, man. I don't know if getting rid of Turki Alalshikh, if boxing would improve. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it would improve. And I think fighters would be very miserable. That's why I think all of these fighters right now who are in demand, I don't see why they wouldn't want to go over there and work with Turki Alalshikh for a 2-3 fight deal. I don't know why. When he's going to pay them way more than money than they've ever made in their career. And the reason why they could be discouraged is because he's going to say, okay, I sign you. You get 3 fights. I'll pay you this. But he picks who they fight. That's the thing. You're in what? We fight 168. Okay, you're this name. Okay, I want you to fight this guy. And if the other team agrees, there's a fight. So Turki Alalshikh, he's making highly competitive fights, and some people don't like that. This thing about a central governing body that oversees the major sanctioning bodies, state commissions, judging and officiating, that should have never happened. Never happened. That's like, I liken that to like when I was in the military. And you have a bunch of us who are E9s, right? And so in our positions, you could have guys who may be in a higher position than you, but you're the same rank. So you got to respect the position. But when they come down trying to tell you this and that, depends on what they're trying to say. If people push back and all kind of shit, they don't listen to their ass anyway. It's pretty goddamn laughable. But the thing is, when you have a person who may be the same, we may be equals, rank-wise, but the position, they're above you, they know you're going to butt heads, especially if they're not strong. But with this thing with having a central governing body, that individual who's overseeing that and responsible for the sanctioning bodies, the commissions, the judging and officiating, he has Turki Alalshikh right there. So if people aren't acting right, he can just go to him and be like, hey, I'm doing everything that you asked me to do. These are the problems that I'm coming across. And then you got to bring the big man in to come in there and say, yo, why y'all acting like children, acting your shoe size? Kind of like with us. You'd have the one guy who's in that position above you. We all the same rank, a bunch of E9s, but he had a goddamn wing commander. And, you know, more times than not, but the wing commander sometimes would have to come and chirp everybody up. But when you have a weak leader in them positions where they need to go run to the big dog, most of the time they get them to fuck up out of there anyway. He shouldn't have been there if he can't sit there and, you know, hold ground and deal with confrontation and shit. So it is what it is. But one thing I think they should do, which I think could improve boxing somewhat, I just think, this is me. Get rid of all this goddamn cost to have random blood in your intestine. You know, the same way if you have a mandatory, if the guy's the mandatory to fight for the title and he turns it down, get his ass up out of there. Same way if they alleviate these fees for random blood and urinalysis testing, right? You know, maybe Turki Alalshikh just pays. How much are you guys making? Right? In the last 5 years, let's get an average, right? What have you guys been making? Okay, I will just pay that. Don't worry about fighters, won't pay you no more. I will pay that. This is what you'll get every year from me. So now we want free random blood in your intestine for all fighters. And if a fighter turns that down, get their ass up out of there. That's what I think. Same way people talk about mandatories and how some of these sanctioning bodies do with mandatories. You don't want to fight for a title opportunity and kick your ass about the rankings. I think that's exactly what they should do. I would start there and just see what happens. Flush everybody out. Because let's be real, there's a lot of fighters. That shit is expensive, man. And some fighters got the dough. Some promoters have the dough. But not all fighters have the money like that. But I think, for me, that's like, well, this is one way you can improve it, but for the most part, man, there's always going to be corruption. There's always going to be cheats. There's going to be interim titles. They even got some shit called a WBC Pearl Belt. Like, they just got bullshit created. That's why these sanctioning bodies, man, you know, they generate so much revenue every year. They make money hand over fist. The more belts, the more titles, the more money they make in sanctioning fees. Okay? Anyway, I don't know what else they can do. But I tell you what, for me, I think realistically, I don't know about all that centralized governing body, all that shit. But for me, I think start off with to cleaning up the sport. And there's no, you have a grace period before you decide what you want to do. No, man, just boom, come in. Just start immediately. Every fight, every fighter going into the next fight, you need to be getting tested. I would implement that immediately. That's what I would do. But you got to sort out things with VADA and WADA and all that crap, because they're gonna want their money. Give them money. This is what you've been averaging. Okay, you don't want that. What's your high year? This is your high year the last 10 years. This is the most you've made. Okay, I'll give you that. That's what you get from now on, as long as I'm involved in boxing. And then have a contingency plan. If something happens to me, then you can go back to doing things this way. But while I'm here, this is what you get every year. You know how much money you're going to make. And all of our fighters, every fighter, professional fighter, doesn't have to worry about paying for random blood and urine testing. And they outline, when it'll be done. And, we should be okay. But again, how do you fix corruption? You can't. You can't fix corruption. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, 7 continents. I just don't think you can. I don't think you can improve boxing like that. I just don't think there's much can be done to improve boxing. It's gonna stay what it is, and as long as there's money being pumped into the sport, boxing is gonna be around. And if boxing dries up, it'll still be around. The fighters just won't get paid the kind of money they want. But if you want to see boxing just totally die off, let that money, let that pool of money that they have right now with Turki Alalshikh involved, let him disappear and Saudis pull out of boxing. You watch what happens. What's the incentive for a young man to want to go to the Olympics and then try to turn pro when right now you're seeing all these guys making millions of dollars, right? Then you come now and now you back to fighting for $800 in your first pro fight, $1,000. What's the incentive? And these guys who are pros right now, who used to making 4 or 5 million, 10 million, all of a sudden they 250,000 again, 750,000 again, because everybody's illegally streaming the shit anyway. Fans ain't really coming out to support you unless you're the top 1%. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.